Okay, so our story is called The Toy Maker's Shop. You want the pictures?
Correct. They are going to go, Kanna. You can go and join. This is your story.
So it's a
Yeah.
Okay. So let's start. The shop with the bright yellow door and shiny doorknob was tucked away at the end of a very small street next to a candy shop. It had a swinging sign that said, "The Toy Maker's Shop." The toy maker had lived there for many years. He was famous for making the most beautiful toys, but he broke his glasses, and because he could barely see without them, there was now something wrong with all the toys he made. None of the boys and girls who came into his shop bought anything. Soon they stopped coming altogether, and the bright yellow door remained closed. Well, for example, the toy maker had painted the dolls' faces a powdery blue. He had made a grandfather clock that went tock, 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 but never tick, and soldiers that marched around the room backward. There was a rag doll wearing only one pink shoe and a dancing doll with no shoes at all. Sinbad the sailor had two wooden legs instead of only one. As for the king and queen puppets, they didn't look like a king and queen at all, except for their crowns made from yellow glass beads. Humpty Dumpty was an egg, all right, but he had a long, hairy tail. Clancy the Clown looked too cross to be a clown, and he was sitting in long, skinny Jack's box. This is a picture. So you can see. So Jack in the Box was Jack out of the box and had to sit on a windowsill. But the worst mistake of all had been made with Merlin the wizard. He should have had a wand in his hand, but instead he was carrying a china blue egg. What's more, his starry hat kept slipping over his eyes. One night, the king decided he could bear it no longer. The little yellow door hadn't opened for weeks, so he called the toys together, cleared his royal throat, and said, "Something really must be done. We simply can't go on looking like this." He looked down at his gown. It should have been purple and splendid, but instead it was ragged and gray. "Do you remember," said the king, "the silver fairy the toy maker made before he broke his glasses? He made a wand for her. Someone bought her, but when the toy maker wrapped her up, she dropped her wand, and he couldn't find it. Do you remember?" The toys nodded, and the king continued, "It must be here somewhere. Now, if we could find it, the wizard might be able to do magic with it and make us look as we ought to look." At once, they all began to hunt for the wand. They looked in boxes, big and small. They looked under the stairs. They lifted up the rugs and looked under them. They looked in a tiny yellow teapot that the toy maker had made with two spouts and no handle. They looked in a big brown pitcher that had two handles and no spout. They looked everywhere, but the wand was nowhere to be seen. The king gave a huge royal sigh. "If we don't want to stay as we are forever, we must go on looking," he said, and he took out his royal handkerchief, which the toy maker had made far too small, mopped his royal brow, and sat down next to Sinbad the sailor. So these are a few pictures. So those are the king and queen right here. This is a teapot. And here are a few of the soldiers. This is the crowd. Now, Sinbad was fast asleep, and he hadn't actually done any looking. To make himself comfortable, he'd unscrewed one of his hollow wooden legs and given it to a blue-faced doll to hold for him. Then he'd begun to snore. That made the king angry, and he tried to take the leg from the doll. Let Sinbad put it on and go looking for the wand like everyone else. But the doll, who was rather afraid of Sinbad, held on to it, and as she struggled with the king, the leg broke in half, and out of it fell a long, slender stick. There it is, cried the king. It's the wand. It was inside Sinbad's leg. The wand shone and glowed, and the king picked it up and gave it to Merlin. The wizard dropped the china blue egg, pushed up his hat so he could see what he was doing, stroked his long white beard, and touched the king on the head with the wand. There was a loud bang and a cloud of smoke. And when the smoke had cleared away, every toy had turned into a wooden clothespin. Great Scott, cried the wizard, what have I done? He looked unhappily at the king, who, like the rest, was now a plain, dull wooden clothespin. I must try again. Another explosion, more smoke, and now the toys had become green, hairy hats. Picture. All the toys, their shapes, they've become furry and green and turned into hats. And that is the wizard. Okay. In despair, Merlin stroked his long white beard twice before waving the wand again. By chance, the tip of the wand touched one of the stars on his hat. There was an enormous bang and another great cloud of smoke. And this time, those awful green, hairy hats had turned back into toys. Yet how different they looked. They had become as beautiful and well made as they should have been. Here. These are all the toys. Now they're all correct. Cute. The king, wearing robes of purple and a golden crown, said to the wizard, now that you know how to use the wand, we must mend the toy maker's glasses at once. So I'll ask you guys a question. Why do you think they should mend the toy maker's glasses? Do you guys think you know? Well, they decided to mend the glasses so that the toy maker will make all the toys correctly again, because he couldn't see their what he was really doing when he broke his glasses. They crept up the stairs to the toy maker's bedroom. His old broken glasses lay on a table beside the bed. The wizard touched them with his wand, and they became bright and new. Then they crept downstairs again and looked at one another with great satisfaction. For Sinbad the sailor now had only one wooden leg. The wizard's hat stayed on his head. The rag doll and the dancing doll had new shoes. The toy soldiers marched forward smartly around the room. The dolls' faces had turned pink, and as for the clown, he had the sort of face a clown ought to have, round and laughing. Long, skinny Jack was back in the box where he belonged, and Humpty Dumpty had lost his tail. As for the grandfather clock going tock, tock, tock for so long, it was now going tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. And the little yellow door was preparing itself for the next day. It knew that when the children looked through the window, and saw how beautiful the toys were, they'd be turning the shiny doorknob and pouring into the toy maker's shop. So that was the story. How did you guys like it? It's good. It's good. Okay, so I'm going to ask you guys a few questions now. So first, who remembers where they found the missing wand?
With the toys?
Yeah. Let's see what. Yeah, that's good. They found it inside the Sinbad the sailor's leg while he was asleep. It had been fastened inside. Okay. Who did the wand really belong to before they found it? It belonged to the fairy. The fairy had dropped her wand and it landed inside. It landed with Sinbad the sailor. What was what was the problem with the king and queen's outfits? Well, the king and queen, they had gray ragged robes instead of purple, very like long, splendid looking royal clothes. Why did the kids stop coming to the toy maker's shop?
He wasn't making the toys correctly?
Yes, correct. Yes. The toy maker had stopped making the toys correctly, and the kids did not like what the toys looked like. So, okay. Who do you think these people are? These two.
King and queen?
Yes, they're the king and the queen. Okay. What do you think this huge pink and white thing behind the wizard is? Do they look familiar to you, like you see them?
Magic?
That's close. It's they're clouds. They're puffs of smoke, magical colored smoke that like poof out behind the wizard when he tries to fix all the toys. What happened to all the toys the first time the wizard tried to fix them?
They weren't made correctly. And you couldn't
Yeah.
see.
That's good. They got turned into wooden clothespins. What do you think the last thing was before the wizard's before the toy maker's glasses got cracked? Who thinks they know what the last thing he made before his glasses got ruined were? Anyone? I think it was the fairy because the fairy dropped her wand and she lost them right before the toy maker's glasses got broken. Why did the so the story had said that Sinbad the sailor gave his leg to a blue-faced doll to hold it. So why did she not want to give the leg to the king when he tried to take it from her? You guys remember? She didn't want okay. She didn't want to give it to the king because she was scared of Sinbad and she didn't want him to get mad at her. Who do you think he is?
A clown?
Yes, he's a clown. And what do you think the toy maker did wrong on him the first time he made him?
He didn't make the dress properly.
Yes. He made him look all sad and like angry instead of clowns who are supposed to be funny and happy all the time. What was the problem with all the dolls, the dancing dolls?
They were going backwards.
That is a good guess. The soldiers went backwards, but the dolls, they had no shoes. And what was the problem with Humpty Dumpty? I can show you a picture of him. There he is.
He was broken.
He has a tail. That's a good guess. Yeah, he has a furry tail, and he's not supposed to have a tail. So in the end, luckily, he got rid of his tail. And what do you think is a problem with this teapot up here?
The two sides.
Yeah, exactly. There are two spouts, but there's no handle. Why is she blue?
Because she's sad.
No, that's a good guess because the toy maker painted all the dolls blue instead of like a nice pink color. Yeah, let's see. What was the worst mistake the toy maker made on all the toys?
He made the soldiers go backwards.
Uh, that is a good guess. But the book says the worst mistake of all had been made with Merlin the wizard. He should have had a wand in his hand, but instead he was carrying a china blue egg, and his starry hat kept slipping over his eyes. Who brought all the toys together to make a plan to find the wand? Hinted someone who's royal.
King and queen.
Yes, the king and it's mainly the king. He brought together all the toys to start the search for the wand. What did so Merlin the wizard took 3 tries to finally fix all the toys. But why do you think the third try, the toys, like his magic worked, that the toys actually got changed? Yes. It's because his wand touched one of the stars on his hat. It says, in despair, Merlin stroked his long white beard twice before waving the wand again. By chance, the tip of the wand touched one of the stars on his hat. And then it said that the toys became as beautiful and well made as they should have been when the toy maker made them the first time. Who do you Okay, who do you think she is?
A ballerina.
Yes. Um, it's one of the dancers, and she has all her shoes back now, and she works properly. Okay. Okay. So how did you guys like the story? It's good. Okay. Do you guys have any questions? No? So do you guys have any exciting plans for the weekend?
I'm gonna go bowling.
Oh, that is so fun. So cool. Is it your first time going bowling?
No.
Ooh, that's cool. You must be very good at it. Okay, so do you guys, what kind of story do you want for next time? Any cool kind of like topic, like royalty, fun parades, like friendship? Do you guys have any story titles you want me to read?
No.
Okay. Okay, so next time we will pick a random book, and I'll see you next week. So thank you. Have a great weekend. Bye.
Stop recording.